Dunkitsu, who had been sent to Earth in order to participate in Mr. Satan's tournament, and so to test what Goku's strengths are, he found himself in a dilemma. He didn't know if he was a good or evil being. He didn't know if it should be good or bad. Dunkitsu had a pure soul, but he had many doubts in his mind. Hey, how's it going? Just here to remind you to click the like button, subscribe here to the channel so you don't miss any videos, and stay well inside our entire universe of Dragon Ball. Let's go back to the point. At that moment, we can observe Dunkitsu on a busy street in a northwest region of the country in a gigantic and populous city. In this city, the great tournament would take place. That moment, very strong winds begins to emerge. Sky darkens, clouds begin to form. A big storm is about to start. Many people pass from one side to the other in a hurry, some covering their heads with something they held in their hands, others with umbrellas, and the raindrops begins to fall. Dunkitsu runs to a corner of the street where he tries to hide under the balcony of an establishment that had 2 floors, having a small balcony where Dunkitsu sits while he sees several people walking around him. He notices that he's ignored most of the time. Dunkitsu just watches as everyone passes him. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, Gohan, Tenshinhan, and Goku finish their training and head back to Goku's house so they can have something to eat. After all, Goku was hungry. Gohan asks Tenshinhan, "Did the weird guy you talked about seem to be strong?" Tenshinhan answers, "I can't say, I couldn't feel his ki, but his presence was very weird." Goku starts to say, "Wow, that's amazing. I mean, even if you couldn't find him, but still, that's amazing." Tenshinhan says, "Man, I couldn't face him at all. Just the presence he had made me want to run away." Goku is impressed and extremely curious to meet that being. And at that moment, Goku says, "I hope he participates in the tournament then. I can't wait to fight him." Gohan and Tenshinhan looks at Goku and both smile. After all, Goku never changes, and always a battle freak. Meanwhile, Dunkitsu is still sitting in the rain on that cold and lonely sidewalk. Everyone who passes ignores him. Everyone who passes pretends not to see him. Dunkitsu keeps his head down, listening to the sound of cars passing by, watching people treating him like it's nothing. Suddenly, a child, a small homeless person with a newspaper on his head trying to avoid the rain, approaches and says, "Hey, what are you doing here, mister? If it continues to rain, you'll get sick." Dunkitsu just gets curious and doesn't say anything. But the boy reaches down and takes his hand, and he says, "You don't have anywhere to go either, do you? Come with me then, we can help." The little boy with torn clothes, barefoot, and with a dirty face pulls Dunkitsu by the arm and starts walking Dunkitsu, and he doesn't understand very well, but starts to follow the boy. The two run to an alley where there was a large cover made with some wood and old tiles, and when they go under, they can see a hole in the wall. The boy says to Dunkitsu, "You can come, it's safe." And Dunkitsu follows him as he enters the hole. The two find themselves inside an old shed with cobwebs again. And Dunkitsu follows him as he enters the hole. The two find themselves inside an old shed with cobwebs, several broken machines with some leaks and some wet places due to the rain. The little boy says, "Hey, my name is Raito, and you can enter here for a while." Dunkitsu says, "But do you live here?" My name is Dunkitsu. Why did you bring me here?" Raito says, "Oh, you were out in the rain, and so I thought you might get sick, so I decided to help." Dunkitsu is confused and responds, "But why?" "Because you didn't ignore me like everyone else." And the boy says with a smile on his face, "But why? Why you didn't ignore me like everyone else?" And the boy says with a smile on his face, "It's because I know what it's like to be out on the street alone, and I thought maybe you needed some help, so I decided to help. I live here with my brother and sister. Well, we're not exactly brothers, but they help me, and they'll help you too." Dunkitsu asks, "Where are they?" And Raito responds, "They must be scared and they hide." No. "They must be scared and they hid. They're not used to seeing someone different coming here." At this time, Raito screams, "Hey, Nozomi! They
can leave. It's cool.
Dunketsu looks around and sees a boy and a girl Dunketsu looks around and sees a boy and a girl emerging from under a shadow cast by a pillar. And the two say,
Nice to meet you, young man.
Heiwa approaches with a piece of bread and says,
You want it? You must be hungry. It's not much, but it will help. You can eat. You can eat with me, and my brother already ate a little, so...
Dunketsu's eyes glisten when he sees this, and he accepts the bread. The three sit on some pieces of cardboard and starts talking. It seems that the weather starts to get cold due to the rain, and the children starts to shiver. Raito says,
Don't worry, when the rain stops, it'll be warmer, and then we can find some food.
Dunketsu looks at the keys and starts looking around. He gathers some scraps of old wood and paper, and in a safe place over there, next to them, he makes a pile of those things he has gathered. Dunketsu brings his hands together, looks at the stacked woods, and then places his hands on top of them. And in moments, a small spark starts to stand out. It starts to catch fire, and a small bonfire is created. And the children look at it with eyes full of joy. And Raito questions,
Are you a magician too? That's amazing!
And Dunketsu responds, I don't know, but I think so. The children approach the fire to warm up, and Nozomi was holding a flyer for a store with some food and stamped doses. And Dunketsu asks, What is that? And the boy answers,
It's just a few things to eat that I promised them, and as soon as the rain stops, I'll try to get them somehow.
Dunketsu takes the flyer and places it on the floor on top of the sheet of cardboard. And he repeats the gesture of before, and in moments a small curtain of colored smoke appears in the midst of a glow, and when the smoke dissipates we can see a feast in front of them, with all the foods that were on the flyer. Children get extremely euphoric, asking,
How did you do that? Where did all that food came from?
Dunketsu answers, You can eat. And the children are extremely happy. At this moment, we can see Vegeta, who falls to the ground on his knees and begins to undo his transformation. Vegeta says, Finally! I finally got over you, Kakarot! Elsewhere, we can see Krillin and 18 training together. And in the frozen mountains, we can see Piccolo, who is meditating. Goku, Gohan, and Tenshinhan arrive at Goku's house and are greeted by Trunks and Chi-Chi, who had already prepared a feast. Everyone eats and decides to take some time to rest. They go to the top of the mountain and stay close to the edge, watching everything. Several animals, trees, rivers could be seen from there. They lie down and look at the sky. Suddenly, Goku says to Gohan, Son, these days I had a strange dream. I dreamed that I had become a god, and my powers were greater than anything we've ever seen before, and in this dream my hair was red. Everyone looks with a face of astonishment. Apparently, Goku started having some flash of his previous life. Goku continues to say, I think it was just a silly dream. But I will train and work hard. Maybe I can raise my power to that level. Gohan looks without reaction. After all, he had no idea what Goku was talking about. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of the ancient gods, everyone was waiting anxiously for the tournament. After all, it would be in this tournament that they would find out if Dunketsu would be able to face Goku. The gods then make a big decision. Chaos then says, Brothers, is it decided? Will we see the big tournament in person? Space then responds, Yes, we will have humans' forms and we will be able to follow everything closely. Don't you agree? Everyone watches and simply say yes. The great ancient gods decide that they will assume human forms so that they can see the tournament live. Things begins to unravel and the tournament will soon begin. Only five days left for the tournament. To be continued. What would Dunketsu do to solve his doubts? What will happen now that the ancient gods have decided to go to Earth? Regardless of what it is more than important that you already expose it here in your comments so that we can enter into that crazy debate. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. And that's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!